What up, you gosh darned nerds? My name is Fallout, and today we're going to be talking about the advantages and disadvantages of using both controller and mouse and keyboard when playing Halo Infinite. We're going to try and do this without creating some kind of giant clusterfuck of an argument down in the comment section. I know, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. If you wind up enjoying or taking anything away from today's video, do me a favor, would you, and gently tap that like button, and please subscribe if you haven't already, TY. For today's video, I reached out to two great content creators I know from the world of Destiny who also happen to be diehard Halo players, as many of us were back in the day before getting potentially hooked on Destiny. Both love the Halo tournament scene and have dove deep into the waters of Infinite since launch. One mains controller and the other mains mouse and keyboard. They both were kind enough to share their input settings with me, as well as their thoughts on why they play with those input methods, which I will happily share with all of you. But before we get going, a message from me. Hey everybody, Fallout here, and did you know that if you look at screens for a really long time every day, like me, you can actually damage your eyes? That's because our eyes are overexposed to blue light, which we get a lot of daily from access to monitors and phones and stuff like that. And it could be the reason why you might be getting eye strain, headaches, itchy eyes, or might even have trouble falling asleep. Longtime followers of my channel know that a few months ago I told you about GMG performance glasses, and if you watch any of my live streams, you'll know that I still wear these all the time when I stream or whenever I know I'm going to spend a long time looking at monitors or working. If you want to reduce eye strain, improve your concentration, fight off that annoying headachy feeling you get when you're hit with too much blue light exposure, or maybe look like a quasi-intellectual while gaming or working, you gotta check out GMG Performance. I should mention that GMG just released a new generation of their glasses for Black Friday. New generation is even more resistant and effective against blue light in order to improve your overall gaming experience. I love how they look, and I love that they don't give me eye strain anymore. It's Black Friday weekend, by the way, and GMG is offering a huge 50% discount that ends on November 29th, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Don't miss out on this offer. Check the link down low in the video description or in the pinned comment and take advantage of that 50% discount. And thank you again to GMG Performance. All right, back to the content. First, I want to talk to our controller main, Drewsky. Drewsky's been a good friend of mine for many years now, and like me, is a lifelong Halo lover, especially the PvP. Although his YouTube content for the past few years has been primarily Destiny, he's lately been streaming a ton of ranked Halo Infinite on his Twitch channel, which I recommend you check out no matter how you play the game. Before going over Drew's controller settings, why don't we talk about controller aim assist, and we'll talk about what a lot of people get wrong regarding aim assist in general. I went into a custom game to do a little Halo Infinite aim assist testing and was happy to find out that aim assist in Halo apparently is very similar to how it works in Destiny. There's two types of aim assist, write these down: reticle friction and bullet magnetism. Controller gets both of these forms of aim assist, while mouse and keyboard only gets bullet magnetism, meaning that yeah, mouse and keyboard does have some form of aim assist, but we'll get to that later. Here's what reticle friction is. When I strafe back and forth in front of an enemy player, my reticle sticks to the player as I strafe by. That's the form of aim assist that is unique to playing with a controller. When an enemy strafes in front of me, my reticle does nothing when I'm standing still, but when my player is moving, right now I'm barely moving backwards while my buddy strafes, the reticle attempts to auto-track that movement. Again, keep in mind for both of these clips, I've only been touching the left thumbstick, i.e. the default movement thumbstick. Reticle friction is the first type of aim assist, and again is unique only to controller. The second type of aim assist is bullet magnetism. To demonstrate, even if you aim slightly off with your crosshair, but you're aiming relatively near an enemy player, bullet magnetism will kick in and your shots will automatically track onto that nearby player. I will show you later, but take my word for it, both controller and mouse and keyboard players both have this one form of aim assist when playing Halo Infinite. The TLDR for being a controller player is that while you may not have the lightning quick and precise look speed and movement of a mouse, you do have the benefits of both types of aim assist. Now back to our buddy Drewsky, who mains controller. Here are his input settings, which he was kind enough to share with me. For button layout, he goes bumper jumper. Way back in the day when Halo 2 and Halo 3 made a big splash in the pro scene, a lot of players jumped onto the bumper jumper train. That was back before all the third-party companies popped up out of nowhere to make controllers with buttons or paddles on the back. Even though Drew does use a controller with buttons on the back, which we'll get to in a bit, he made the swap to bumper jumper way back in the old competitive scene, and he hasn't looked back. Bumper jumper allows him to jump with the left bumper, meaning that he doesn't have to take his thumb off the right joystick in the middle of a gunfight. Look acceleration is set to 3, while look sensitivity, both horizontal and vertical, are both set to 5. Look acceleration determines how fast you can move your character's point of view when looking left or right or any direction. The higher your look acceleration, you'll be able to turn around quicker, but having a higher number may affect your shot overall. Under move thumbstick and look thumbstick, all of Drew's dead zones and thresholds have been brought down to 5. Don't know what a dead zone is? Well, first of all, classic Dragon Ball Z movie, but second of all, it's the amount you can physically move your thumbstick before it's actually recognized in-game as an input. The bigger the dead zone, the more the stick can move before it is registered as an input. Therefore, low dead zones are more responsive. Out of every option a controller player can go through to customize their in-game experience, I'm gonna say that the dead zone and threshold are probably the most headache-inducing. If you want to be a two-stick Tommy in Halo Infinite, totally fine, but definitely go into Academy mode and fiddle around with the settings until you find something you're comfortable with. Drew's FOV is set to 105, which is the max FOV setting for Destiny 2, which he also plays. When asked what type of controller Drew plays with, he told me he rocks a Battle Beaver. I happen to be a SCUF man, shout out to the Instinct Pro, my current choice, but like SCUF, Battle Beaver does have buttons on the back which allow the player to input commands without having to take their thumb off ye old joystick. His back buttons for Halo Infinite are currently set to the back left button being crouch and the back right button being X, aka reloading and interacting. With crouch being a back controller button, Drew can more easily throw crouches into his strafe fights or crouch spam while jumping and shooting to trip up people trying to shoot him back. I asked Drew what, in his opinion, are the advantages and disadvantages of playing Halo Infinite with controller, and this was his response. Controller IMO feels the most natural and consistent for shooting in Halo, especially with the strafe, speed of Infinite, and the burst of the BR requiring a bit more tracking and time on target. That being said, mouse and keyboard seems to be very strong with power weapons, especially precision weapons like the sniper, and I think have some untapped potential for movement freedom while maintaining good accuracy. I asked him if he had any advice to mouse and keyboard players who are interested in trying out controller for Halo. Firstly, if you can aim, you can aim. Input doesn't matter. Be patient with yourself, you'll pick it up and get used to it. I'm not sure how well this resonates, but this is how I've tried to explain aiming a bit to some MnK friends. I generally use the right stick for bigger flicks or movements. I'd imagine that's similar to how your arm movements are when playing with a mouse. I use the left stick, character movement, for smaller or more fine movements and tracking, perhaps similar to a wrist finger fine movement when playing with a mouse. Of course, aiming utilizes both, sometimes together, but that's how I try to relate it. Now, why don't we talk about mouse and keyboard? As I mentioned earlier, even though some folk are under the impression that MnK has 0 aim assist, it gets one form of the two we talked about earlier, bullet magnetism. Here I am back in a custom lobby playing on mouse and keyboard. There's no reticle friction whatsoever. If the enemy strafes, even when I move, the reticle is 100% going on your movement alone. It will not move at all. However, like on controller, when I aim my gun just off the enemy, bullet magnetism will kick in and those shots are drawn into the other guy. TLDR, controller has 2 forms of aim assist, mouse and keyboard has only 1. The advantage of playing mouse and keyboard though is usually you can look around and turn way faster than any controller player can, even if they have ridiculously high sensitivity settings. Why don't we hear from our mouse and keyboard Halo Infinite main, Gigz. Gigz is also very involved in the competitive Halo scene, and like Drew, is a longtime lover of Halo PvP. Not only that, he was involved in providing community feedback in the creation of the game itself via the Forerunner program. His mouse sensitivity is set to 1.5, lower than default, while sensitivity scale, both vertical and horizontal, are on the default of 1. Zoom sensitivities are also left unchanged. For mouse acceleration, Gigz replied to me, "Hell no," which doesn't really surprise me. Mouse acceleration can often lead to inconsistency, which isn't good when you're trying to develop muscle memory as a MnK player. Gigz has field of view set to 104. Again, not near the max, but close to the max of Destiny 2, which is 105. His mouse DPI is set to 800 when he plays Halo Infinite, and Gigz plays with the Logitech G Pro wireless super light mouse. I asked him why that mouse, and it's because it's super lightweight and has no wire. I asked Gigz, in his opinion, what are the advantages and disadvantages of playing Halo on mouse and keyboard. I think controller is overall better, but mouse and keyboard has better sniper sniper no-scopes, movement, and long-range battles. When asked if he had any advice to longtime Halo players who might have grown up playing controller but are looking to try out MnK, he had the following to say. You're probably better off sticking to controller, but holding your aim steady and lots of practicing aiming with your mouse. When asked if he had any other key factors in his PC settings he felt would be worth mentioning, I like lowering my resolution scale all the way down to have a consistently high FPS. Unlike other games, lowering resolution scale, for me at least, doesn't make the game look absolutely terrible. On a side note, I thought it was kind of interesting when Drew mentioned that maybe precision weapons would perform better on MnK, only for the MnK main to confirm that they pretty much do. Not to get off the beaten path there, I thought that was neat. As you can probably guess, the answer of what's better, controller or mouse and keyboard for Halo Infinite, is going to be entirely different depending on who you talk to. There are advantages and disadvantages to both, MnK having smoother, more fluid movement overall, having a potential advantage for precision weapons and for longer ranged engagements, but having only one of the two methods of aim assist. Controller lacks the smoothness of mouse and keyboard, but has a potentially more consistent feel, not to mention having both forms of aim assist, including the very strong reticle friction. At the end of the day, it's really up to you, but it's clear when watching people play at high levels that you can completely shred with either input method. And now, I've given you some in-game testing clips, and you've heard from two great players in case you want to try their settings out on your own. Do me a favor, would you, and check out both Drewsky and Gigz on both YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. They are phenomenal players and great guys. Big thanks to both of them for helping me put together today's video. Also, scroll down a few inches, would you, and click the like button on today's vid and subscribe if you haven't already. Huge thank you to those who do. If you want to talk to me about anything at all, you can find me live on Twitch a few days every week. I'd be happy to hear from you. Otherwise, drop me a note down below in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.